The silence of deep space shattered like glass. "Commander," Zarathorn pressed her palm against the cold viewport of the exploration vessel Wanderer, watching something impossible unfold before her eyes. What her sensors had detected as a simple asteroid field was revealing itself to be something far more terrifying. "Captain," whispered her navigation officer, Lieutenant Marcus Chen, voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. "You need to see this." The massive object floating in the void was not a space rock. It was a ship. But not just any ship. This was a Leviathan that dwarfed every vessel in the known galaxy, stretching nearly 50 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was a patchwork of scarred metal and strange geometric patterns that seemed to shift and dance in the starlight. "Run a deep scan," Zara ordered, her throat dry. "I want to know everything about that thing." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the ship's xenorchaeologist, looked up from her scanner with wide eyes. "Captain, the energy readings are... impossible. This ship's been dormant for thousands of years, but there's still power running through its systems." "What kind of ship builds with quantum steel alloys?" Marcus muttered, reading his display. "And look at these weapon signatures. These aren't energy-based. There's something else entirely." Zara felt a chill run down her spine. In her 15 years exploring the Outer Rim, she'd seen ancient ruins, dead civilizations, and artifacts beyond comprehension. But this felt different. This felt dangerous. The Wanderer drifted closer to the massive derelict, and details became clearer. The hull bore marking symbols that looked almost familiar, but wrong somehow, like a half-remembered nightmare. "Alina, can you translate those markings?" The xenorchaeologist's face had gone pale. "I think these symbols are pre-coalition, or Old Earth script, but modified, enhanced somehow." "That's impossible," Marcus said. "Humans have only been in space for 300 years. This ship is clearly ancient." Before anyone could respond, every screen on the bridge flickered. For a moment, strange symbols, the same ones from the hull, flashed across their displays. Then, in perfect galactic standard, words appeared. Asterisk, asterisk, proximity alert. Unauthorized vessels detected, asterisk, 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 classification. Non-hostile, asterisk, 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 initiating minimal. Power systems, asterisk, 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 welcome home, asterisk, asterisk. The bridge fell silent, except for the increasingly rapid beeping of their sensors. Across the massive ship's hull, lights began to flicker on in sequence, running like veins of electricity through the ancient metal. "Captain," Alina whispered, "it's waking up." Chapter 2. First contact 3 hours later. The bridge of the Coalition patrol ship Vigilance buzzed with frantic activity. Admiral Kethfer, a towering Zalani with scales that shifted from blue to silver when agitated, stood rigid before the main display showing the mysterious vessel. "Explain to me again," his voice rumbled like distant thunder. "How a human exploration ship discovered a derelict that predates their species' space travel by millennia." Captain Jen Morrison of the Coalition Science Division cleared her throat nervously. "Sir, the energy signatures match no known technology in our databases. By the linguistic patterns, the basic hull composition, they're definitely human in origin. Impossible," snapped Commander Vexstar, the hegemony representative. His insectoid features twitched with agitation. "Humans are barely beyond planetary civilization. They've been part of the Coalition for less than 50 years. Admiral Kethfer's scales darkened further. "Has anyone considered that this might be exactly what we feared?" The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what he meant, though none dared speak it aloud. The ancient warnings. The stories passed down through 100 species about the predecessors, the ones who came before, who built weapons that could crack worlds and ships that could swallow stars. "Sir," came a voice from the communications station, the exploration. "Vessel Wanderer is requesting permission to dock with the derelict." "Absolutely not," Kethfer growled. "Signal all Coalition vessels. I want a perimeter established at 10,000 kilometers. Nothing goes in or out without my direct authorization." But as he spoke, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Ships were arriving from every direction, not Coalition vessels, but independent craft. Word had already leaked across the neural networks that connected civilized space. "Admiral," the communications officer called out again, his voice tight with worry. "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the derelict itself." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at a human face. But this wasn't like any human they'd seen before. The woman appeared to be in her 30s, with silver hair and eyes that seemed to contain depths of knowledge that spoke of centuries. "Greetings," she said, her voice carrying the slight distortion of artificial intelligence, but with something else, something that felt undeniably alive. "I am Captain Sarah Chen, commanding officer of the Earth's strategic defense vessel Endurance. I apologize for the delay in responding to your hails. My systems required time to adapt to your current communication protocols." Admiral Kethfer stepped forward. "This is Admiral Kethfer of the Galactic Coalition. Identify yourself and state your intentions." The woman smiled, and it wasn't entirely friendly. "Admiral, I believe there may be some confusion. According to my records, there is no governing body called the Galactic Coalition in this sector. Perhaps you could explain how long I've been asleep." "Ma'am," Captain Morrison interjected. "Current galactic standard date is 4387 post-contact. How... How long have you been dormant?" Captain Chen was quiet for a long moment, and they could see information flowing across screens behind her. When she spoke again, her voice carried a weight that made everyone on the bridge unconsciously step back. "I see. 8,312 years. Longer than expected, but within acceptable parameters." She paused, studying them through the screen. "Tell me, Admiral Lin, all this time, has Earth been contacted by any hostile extraterrestrial forces?" The question hung in the air like a loaded weapon. Admiral Kethfer's scales had turned almost black. "Ma'am, Earth is a member world of the Coalition. They've been under our protection for nearly 50 years. Captain Chen's expression changed subtly, becoming something that made seasoned military officers want to check their escape pods. "Protection?" she repeated. "How interesting. And who exactly were you protecting them from?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began shrieking across every Coalition ship in the area. New contacts were appearing on their sensors' massive signatures, emerging from what had appeared to be empty space. "Admiral," the sensor officer shouted over the noise, "we have 17 more derelicts powering up across the system. They're all the same class as the first one." Captain Chen's image smiled again, and this time it was definitely not friendly. "Well," she said calmly, "it appears the reunion is going to be larger than expected." Chapter 3. The Awakening Fleet. The Wanderer hung motionless in space, caught between the awakening human supercarrier and the growing Coalition fleet that surrounded it. On the bridge, Commander Zara Thorne watched her sensors in disbelief as more ancient ships revealed themselves across the star system. "This is impossible," Marcus whispered, staring at the readings. "There are 23 of them now. Each one is larger than a Coalition dreadnought." Dr. Vasquez looked up from her analysis station, her face pale. "Captain, I've been studying the quantum signatures. These ships, ... They're not just old, they're from outside our reality." "What do you mean outside our reality?" Zara demanded. "Quantum matrices don't match our space-time. It's like they were built in a parallel dimension and somehow translated here." Alina's hands shook as she worked her controls. "Captain ... they're all showing human crew signatures." Before Zara could respond, her communications console lit up with an incoming transmission. Captain Chen's face appeared on screen, but now she could see the bridge behind her, and it was occupied by dozens of humans moving with the precision of a military crew. "Commander Thorne," Captain Chen said, "I apologize for the confusion my awakening has caused. Would you mind if we spoke privately? There are things you need to know about your species' true history." Zara glanced at her crew, then nodded. "Go ahead, Captain." 8,000 years ago, humanity discovered something in the depths of space. Something that changed everything we thought we knew about the universe. We learned that Earth wasn't just another world, it was a prison. The words hit the bridge like a physical blow. Marcus nearly dropped his stylus. "The beings you call the Coalition founders, the Zelani, the Hegemony, the Vorthok, they didn't discover space travel independently. They were given it by the same entities that imprisoned humanity on Earth, stripping away our memories and limiting our development. That's impossible, Zara said, but her voice lacked conviction. Is it? Tell me, Commander, in all your explorations, have you ever wondered? Why humans adapt to alien environments so easily? Why human neural patterns are compatible with virtually every known technology? Why every species you've encountered has myths about beings who came from the stars? Dr. Vasquez looked up sharply. The predecessor myths. Every civilization has them, because they're not myths, Captain Chen continued. Humanity didn't evolve on Earth, Commander. We were created to fight a war that most of the galaxy has forgotten. Okay. And now, it seems that war has found us again. Suddenly, new alarms began screaming across both ships. On the main display, tears and space-time were opening like wounds in reality itself. From these rifts, shapes began to emerge, ships that hurt to look at, their geometry wrong in ways that made human minds recoil. The Devourers, Captain Chen said quietly. Right on schedule, Admiral. Kethra's voice crackled over all frequencies. Unknown vessels, identify yourselves immediately, or we will open fire. The response came not in words, but in action. One of the twisted ships fired what looked like a beam of pure darkness. Where it struck a coalition destroyer, the ship didn't explode, it simply ceased to exist, as if it had never been built. Coalition vessels, Admiral Kethra's voice, had lost its authoritative tone. Retreat to minimum safe distance. Pete, fall back immediately. But Captain Chen's image was shaking her head. Admiral, with respect, you can't run from these entities. They don't follow the same physical laws you do. But we can fight them. How? Kethra's desperation was clear even through the static. Because this is what we were made for. Gruss. Human Supercarrier. Weapon systems that had slumbered for millennia began to charge. The very space around the ship seemed to fold and twist as reality-altering weapons powered up. All coalition vessels, Captain Chen's voice carried across every frequency. You are hereby ordered to withdraw to a distance of 50,000 kilometers. What happens next violates several fundamental laws of physics. Commander Thorne felt. Her ship being pulled away by invisible forces, not destructively, but with a gentleness that spoke of incredible power under perfect control. Alina, she whispered, what are we looking at? Dr. Vasquez stared at her readings in wonder and terror. Captain, I think we're looking at humanity's true nature. I don't think the galaxy is ready for it. As the human fleet moved into battle, formation, their ships began to change, reality bending around them like water around stones. The war that had been hidden for 8,000 years was about to begin again, and this time, humanity was awake. Chapter 4. The War Eternal. The War Eternal. Battle that followed defied every principle of combat known to galactic civilization. Commander. Thorne watched from the safety zone as the human ships engaged the Devourers in a dance of physics-breaking warfare. The Supercarrier Endurance folded space around itself, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously while its weapons fired streams of what looked like crystallized time. Lena Zara called to her science officer. Are you recording this? Trying to... 2, Dr. Vasquez replied, her voice tight with concentration. But half of what I'm seeing shouldn't be possible. Those human ships, they're not just using advanced technology. They're rewriting the fundamental laws of physics around themselves. On the main display, they watched as one of the human vessels, sleek and deadly, despite its ancient design, faced off against 3 Devourers ships. Instead of firing conventional weapons, it seemed to reach out with tendrils of altered space-time and simply unmade its enemies. Not destroyed them, but edited them out of existence as if they were mistakes in reality's code. Admiral Kethra's voice crackled over the communications array. Captain Chen. What are those things? And how are you fighting them? Captain Chen's response came through clearly, though her image showed her standing on a bridge. Her crew members were interfacing directly with control systems that seemed to respond to thought rather than touch. Admiral, the entities you're seeing are what my people called the Devourers. They exist partially outside our dimension, feeding on the quantum foundations of reality itself. 8,000 years ago, they began consuming entire star systems, unmaking them from the fundamental level up. Another Devourer ship materialized near the Coalition fleet, and Admiral Kethfer ordered his vessels to open fire. Their most powerful weapons struck the alien vessel and passed through it like light through glass. Your weapons can't harm them, Captain Chen continued. They exist in 11 dimensions while your technology operates in only 4. But humans. She paused as her ship executed a maneuver that seemed to involve briefly existing in several places at once. Humans were designed to fight in multidimensional space. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her console, her face pale with realization. Captain Thorne, I've been analyzing the quantum signatures of the human crews. They're not entirely human anymore, not as we understand it. Their neural patterns extend into dimensions we can't even perceive. On screen, the battle was reaching its crescendo. The Devourers had deployed some kind of reality-aiding weapon that created expanding spheres of nothingness, but the human ships moved through them unaffected, their hulls shimmering with protective fields that seemed to be made of folded space-time itself. How is this possible? Marcus whispered. Captain Chen's voice answered as if she'd heard him. When humanity first encountered the Devourers 8,000 years ago, we learned that conventional evolution couldn't produce beings capable of multidimensional warfare, so we changed ourselves. We became something new, part human, part living equation, part force of nature. The largest Devourer ship, a twisted cathedral of impossible angles, materialized at the center of the battle. Its presence seemed to drain color from the surrounding space, and several Coalition vessels simply powered down as their crews fell unconscious. That's a void cathedral, Captain Chen said, her voice grim. They only deploy those when they're preparing to devour an entire star system. Admiral, I need you to evacuate all Coalition personnel to minimum safe distance. What we're about to do will make this entire region of space temporarily uninhabitable. What are you planning? Kethfer demanded. We're going to remind the galaxy why the Devourers fled our space 8,000 years ago. The human supercarriers began to move in perfect formation, their paths tracing complex geometric patterns through space. As they moved, reality itself seemed to thicken around them, becoming more solid, more real than the universe around it. They're creating a hyperspatial construct, Dr. Vasquez breathed. They're building something out of pure mathematics and physics, something that exists on all dimensional levels simultaneously. The Void Cathedral fired its reality and weapon directly at the human formation. The beam of pure entropy struck their defensive field and simply ... stopped, not reflected, not absorbed, hit something more real than reality itself, and ceased to function. Then the human ships opened fire. What emerged from their weapons wasn't energy or matter. It was order itself, crystallized into destructive form. Where it struck the Devourer ships, they didn't explode or disintegrate. They became more organized, more structured, until their impossible geometries collapsed under the weight of logical existence. The Void Cathedral lasted 17 seconds before it simply reorganized itself out of existence, its chaotic structure unable to maintain coherence in the face of weaponized physics, as the last Devourer ship fled back into the dimensional rifts from which it came. The human fleet powered down their reality-altering weapons. Space-time slowly returned to its normal configuration. This is Captain Chen, to all Coalition vessels, came the transmission. The immediate threat has been neutralized. However, we need to discuss the future of galactic civilization, because ready or not, the war that shaped our species has returned. Commander Thorne stared at the readings on her screen showing the human supercarriers returning to dormant status, but not truly dormant. More like sleeping predators, ready to wake at the first sign of threat. Alina, she said quietly, I think we just learned something about humanity that changes everything. Dr. Vasquez nodded, her hands still shaking as she saved her impossible. Readings, Captain. I don't think the galaxy will ever be the same again. / Epilogue. New Realities 1. Month after the Battle of the Awakening Fleet. The Galactic Coalition Emergency Assembly convened on the neutral world of Kepler Station. Representatives from every major civilization in known space filled the massive chamber. Their attention focused on the lone human figure standing at the central podium. Captain Sarah Chen had agreed to address the assembly, though she now appeared different, somehow more solid, more present than other beings in the room, as if she existed more completely in reality than those around her. "Honored representatives," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber without amplification. "I understand that recent events have raised questions about humanity's place in galactic civilization. Allow me to provide some clarity." Admiral Kethver, his scales still showing stress patterns from the recent battle, leaned forward in his seat. "Captain Chen, the Coalition has a right to know how many more ships like yours are out there?" "Admiral, you're asking the wrong question. The issue isn't how many ships we have, it's how many times we've saved your civilizations without you knowing it." Murmurs of confusion rippled through the assembly. Every species in this room has myths about divine protectors who appeared in their darkest hours. The Zilani songs speak of silver guardians who drove away the darkness between stars. The hegemony remembers the geometric angels who saved their first colony worlds from something they describe as hungry emptiness. The Vorthok creation myths include protectors who shaped reality itself to defend the innocent. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. For 8,000 years, small teams of evolved humans have been protecting this galaxy from devourer incursions, erasing evidence of attacks, repairing damaged space-time, and ensuring that younger civilizations could develop without interference. We've been your guardians, your hidden defenders, operating from the shadows while you built your coalition and explored the stars. Commander Vexstar of the hegemony spoke up, his insectoid features twitching. "If this is true, why reveal yourselves now? Why break millennia of secrecy?" Captain Chen's expression grew somber. "Because the devourer incursions are increasing in frequency and intensity. What you witnessed was just a scouting force. Our deep space monitors detect massive fleet movements in the void between galaxies. The entity that created the devourers, something our predecessors called the Unmaker, has located our galaxy again." The assembly erupted in concerned chatter before she raised her hand for silence. "The Coalition faces a choice. You can maintain your current technological development and hope that we can continue to protect you from threats you can't perceive or fight. Or you can accept the truth about your origins and allow us to accelerate your evolution as we did our own 8,000 years ago." "What do you mean, our origins?" Admiral Kethver demanded. "Every species in this room descends from refugees. Your ancestors were evacuated from their original homeworlds before the Unmaker's forces could consume them. Earth wasn't the only world that served as a sanctuary, it was just the one where we chose to make our stand." Dr. Elena Vasquez, attending as an observer from the exploration vessel Wanderer, stood up from her seat. "Captain Chen, if humanity evolved specifically to fight these entities, what does that make us now? Are we still the same species?" Captain Chen smiled, and for a moment her image seemed to flicker between dimensions. "Dr. Vasquez, that's perhaps the most important question anyone has asked. We are what humanity became when faced with the choice between extinction and transcendence. We are living proof that consciousness can reshape reality itself when survival demands it." She gestured, and holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber, showing star charts marked with defensive positions and patrol routes spanning half the galaxy. "For 8 millennia, we've maintained a network of guardian vessels across known space. Some remain dormant, like the fleet you discovered. Others patrol the dark between stars, fighting battles against enemies that exist partially outside your reality, all of them crewed by humans who volunteered to become something more than human in order to protect something essentially human, the right of conscious beings to exist and grow. And if we refuse your offer of evolution," asked the Vorthok representative, "then you remain under our protection as you have been. We are not conquerors or rulers. We are guardians, and understand that the war is escalating. The Unmaker has learned from its previous defeat when it returns in force. The battles will be fought on scales that could damage the fundamental structure of space-time itself." Admiral Kethver's scales had shifted to deep purple color, indicating profound thought. "Captain, If we were to accept this evolution, what would we become? Something new? Something capable of existing in 11 dimensions simultaneously, while remaining grounded in the reality, something that can fight to preserve not just life, but the very concepts of existence, consciousness, and free will. The chamber fell silent as each representative considered the implications. Finally, Commander Vexstar spoke. How long do we have to decide? Captain Chen checked a display that existed only in dimensions the others couldn't see. Long range. Sensors indicate the Unmaker's advanced fleet will reach the galactic rim in approximately 18 months. The main force will arrive 6 months after that. Then we have 2 years to prepare, Admiral Kethfer said grimly. Admiral Captain Chen corrected gently. You have 18 months to decide if you want to remain what you are, or become what you need to be to survive what's coming. As the assembly adjourned in stunned silence, Commander Thorne approached Captain Chen. Captain, can I ask you something personal? Of course, Commander. Do you ever regret what humanity became? Do you? Miss being ... ordinary? Captain Chen looked out through the station's massive viewport at the stars. Beyond stars that she and her people had protected for 8,000 years. Stars that might not exist in 2 years if the galaxy couldn't unite against the coming darkness. Commander, she said softly, I miss the simplicity of linear existence. I miss sleeping in only 3 dimensions. I miss being surprised by the universe instead of seeing all its possible outcomes simultaneously. She turned back to Thorne with a smile that contained depths of ancient sadness and eternal determination. But I've never regretted protecting. The right of others to experience those simple pleasures I can no longer have. As Captain Chen walked away, her form flickering slightly as she shifted between dimensional states, Commander Thorne realized she was watching someone who had sacrificed their humanity to preserve the humanity of others. The galaxy would never be the same. But perhaps, for the first time in 8,000 years, it might actually survive what was coming. In the depths of space, the ancient human guardian fleet maintained its eternal vigil, waiting for the choice that would determine the fate of all conscious life in the galaxy. The war that had shaped them was returning, and this time they would not fight alone. The question was, would their allies be ready to become what they needed to be, only to man the approaching darkness would tell.